How will Klick advance the state of the art in preventative medicine and lead us to better health outcomes?
The work that we do at Klick Health is really in helping life sciences brands to commercialize. And we get involved as early as pre-commercial and clinical recruitment and helping brands get market access, as well as the commercial activities associated with field force enablement and marketing. And one of the things that we realized along this journey of helping these brands that heal and cure is that there's a huge empathy deficit in the marketplace. And that's despite the fact that in the marketplace there's a ton of literature and clinically validated research on the importance of empathy to how healthcare professionals communicate, but also how they treat and therefore health outcomes. And that's really what led us to explore the whole concept of teleempathy, which is really a term that we coined for the ability to digitize the symptoms of a disease and reproduce them in a clinically validated way onto a healthcare professional.
When you think about empathy, the human experience of empathy is different across every different person in the world. How do you create a normalization or a common way for people to experience that condition the patient is experiencing?
So that's a great question. And in the context of SymPulse, which is really working in Parkinson's, what we focused on is reproducing the actual symptoms. So they say you can't feel somebody else's pain, but the question that we asked ourselves is maybe now you can. Maybe with today's technology, you can reproduce that experience. And we know that that's relevant because when you talk to specialists, especially specialists that have contracted the disease that they treat, they'll always say, if I knew then what I know now, I would have treated it differently.
I would have treated it differently.
And so the question is, Parkinson's tremors, well, that's really a neuromuscular activity. Can you digitize it? And we've been able to prove that you can. And through this 510K FDA medical device, what we've been able to do is put this onto the arm of a patient. And then in real time, or we can record it and then play it back at a different time, we can reproduce in a clinically validated way the exact symptoms of the patient. So imagine the difference between a patient coming into a healthcare professional's office and trying to describe what their days are like. And the
Which is what happens today, right? That's what happens today.
That's the standard of care today. And contrast that with the ability for that healthcare professional to put a strap on that person's arm and then actually experience it. And one of the things that in a commercial setting we're trying to do is then ask those healthcare professionals to do things, whether that's sign their name or tie their shoelaces or drink a cup of water. Invariably they spill on themselves, you see a tear, and suddenly they have experienced for 1 minute what these patients are experiencing all the time, every minute of every day for their entire life. And we believe, and we're hoping to prove, that that is enough to motivate them to go through that difficult workflow with the payers and the healthcare system to get these patients the treatment that they need and therefore improve health outcomes.
You've created a lot of technology around that. What role does machine intelligence play in the long-term roadmap?
Sure. So machine intelligence today is playing many roles, and we do work in a lot of spaces. So there isn't a client that we work with that isn't using machine intelligence in their clinical research workflows. There's a ton of work being done in pathology and radiology with machine intelligence. The work that we're most excited about today with machine intelligence is actually in finding patients for clinical trials, especially patients with unique markers that we can detect from blood work. If you think about some rare diseases, you think about a patient in PwC, most healthcare professionals will have never seen a patient like this before, and they'll never see one again. So they might not know that highest phosphorus levels is actually a signal that this person may have liver failure. And if we can detect that, and then using that lab work trigger an intervention before its onset, then we can actually change the trajectory of healthcare. Now, when we think about machine learning as an enabling technology, I think there's even more exciting opportunities than the things that we're working on today. So looking a little bit further ahead in the context of what machine learning does for voice enablement. Consider in an elderly care setting the opportunity for QA and compliance.
Right.
There's been a lot of reports on elders not getting the care that they need. Imagine if you could ensure that your loved one is being cared for. Imagine if you could do that voice analysis on that individual to understand a change in their trajectory, maybe a change in voice, maybe them forgetting names of people that they should, being an indicator of early onset of Alzheimer's, and as well as companionship, as well as assistive. So there's just so many opportunities that are unlocked by machine learning as an enabling technology, even more so than some of these use cases we're talking about today.